If you like my videos and you'd like to support me, I've set up a Patreon page. The link is in the description below. Roll the video. This is the patch I did last night. I just wanted to see what would happen if I did 4 coats in fairly quick succession with a temperature of about 25 degrees in here. So what has happened is that's firstly, it's quite a light brownish colour. You know, it's hard to tell because of the blue light coming here, but it looks much more copper coloured than this, you can see. So this has worked properly. It's already harder than this is rather. So I can barely make an indentation on that, and this it feels soft still. It is harder than it was, and I think in some areas it's going to go off, but I think in some areas it's not very good. On the skeg it's still really soft. I've had heat on that for hours now. Overnight I've had heat on it and it's still soft. What I've done here, I was just trying to get up into these areas that I hadn't got, but I put a coat over the top. So this is, you know, what I would call soft still, but this coat over the top is hard. I wonder if I did that on purpose to see if it would cure the stuff underneath, but it is rock hard. There's also an area at the front that I also painted over, and that obviously is really rock hard. Now that area had not been good at all, and you know, if we come just off, I can actually dig that away. See, this, which has been on there 10 hours, can I do it? No, I can just dig it, but you can just feel it's harder, feels right. You run your hand over it, it just feels shiny. Run your hand over this, even after all these days of trying to cure it with heat, it still feels a bit funny. I think I've made some decisions now. By the time we get it in the water, it will have cured enough to rub it down to expose the copper. The question I have for the reps of the company that make the stuff is, with a bit slightly dodgy cure like this, if I put the boat in the water, what's going to happen to that? Because if it just stays as it is, I don't mind. You know, it's a bit tacky. But if I can expose the copper, then presumably that will work as copper anti-foul. It will stop growth. I don't care what it looks like or what it feels like. You know, it's nice if it feels nice, but you know, if it doesn't, who cares? As long as it works. This is my adage for life, right? As long as it works. I'm just going to carry on with the heat for now. If I need to give another coat, so be it. That's not the end of the world. 1 kilo will do it. So if I put a coat over and that solves it, great. Aware that I'm going in circles here is what I'm saying, but 2 things going through. I'm thinking it through and I'm trying to persuade myself that it's the right thing to do. I mean, if I put a coat over the top, will it stick to that slightly uncured coat? If it does, I mean, I'm all for that. But here's an interesting one, okay? So this is an area where it has cured reasonably well. And I rubbed it down. I don't know if you can see that. Again, the light's not great, but that's actually rubbed down to a reasonable surface, and it does feel hard, but that's one of the better bits. So let's find somewhere that's not as good, or I consider to be a problem area, and then we'll do the same there. Right, so that's slightly darker there, so let's rub that down and see if we can get a similar thing. Okay, so yeah, that'll probably be alright. That's interesting. When it gets hot, it goes soft. Is that normal for epoxy resin? I wouldn't have thought so. I don't think that's cured properly. Okay. So let's do a little test here, see how easy that is to just scratch. scratches fairly easily, and this one scratches less easily for sure. Let's give a corner hard push, and it goes in fairly easily. And here, definitely harder. So I do need to ask the question: can I put another coat over that, and will it help cure the layer underneath? I'm gonna phone them now. So I did phone them. The guy's not in today. But I spoke to my friend Warren, who he works in the industry, has done all his life, so he knows a lot about resins and epoxies and polyesters and vinyl esters and all that stuff. So he basically said that with modern resins, it's more than likely that will go off given heat. So I've got myself some infrared heat lamps. I've got them focused on the area of the boat. I've actually got the skin temp up, but it's 65 degrees C. Let's see what that does. Hopefully it won't damage it. Heat is the answer. So you can, if I can get it hot enough, it's more than likely going to work. So the skeg is the worst bit. So I've put one on the skeg. I'm going to do it for an hour, and then I'm going to unplug it and let it cool down and see what's happened to it. I've only got about 4 minutes left, less than that actually. So let's see what happens. He did say that, you know, if you did put a coat over the top, it might work, but you could also be asking for trouble. And he said, you know, probably the best thing is to stick with what you got, let it go off as best you can, put the heat on, do the best you can with that, and then just see how it goes. And then if after a few years it doesn't work, then readdress it. But as long as it goes off hard enough and I can sand it back to expose the copper, which I've done in a couple of places, and I'm more than happy with that. If I can get it to that stage, that'll be great. I went across the surface with a damp cloth at one point, and where it's kind of tacky, it takes a layer of something off, and it's blue. Right, so you find me in the sauna again. God, it's hot in here. But is it hot enough? So I've got these infrared heat lamps. One there on the keel at the moment doing, where is it? Oh, I can't see where I'm pointing there. So that's heated the keel up to quite a nice temperature. I had this one on this skeg, but it didn't seem to do a lot. So what I've done is I took a scraper to it just to see. So this layer, this sticky layer, just comes off, and underneath it's still not fully set. So don't know. I can't believe all the layers were crap. So I'm steering back towards putting another coat over the top on the basis that I've got the stuff, and where I've done it, it seems to have done something. So what I'm going to do now is try scraping off a little bit right next to where I have painted over the top, and also a bit where I haven't painted over the top, and see what results we get. So that's what we're going to do now. Right, so this is the top of the rudder. So let's see. It's a bit hard to get hold of this. Let's try. It's actually quite hard. But it does scrape off a layer. That's pretty tough though, so that's pretty much there. You know, I don't know. And this is the one I put on last night. Now I'm going to try. Yeah, that's much harder. And you can see, I don't know if you can see that. Can I zoom in? I don't know, I'll just manual zoom. I pick up the tripod. You can see there, look how coppery that is. And here, not so much, and so that's gone really hard. So what I'm going to do is let's go down to the front of the boat and let's look at that bit that I did there, where it was particularly bad. So let's see. I don't know how well you can see, but you might have to rely on my brilliant commentary here. So here is a piece that has been overcoated. So let's get the scraper on that and just see that's on a curve as well, so that's the easiest place to scrape stuff. It's kind of, it's glancing off that. I managed to dig in there briefly, but that's, it feels good. So now I'm through the tacky layer underneath. It is still tacky under there, so that's a problem. Like I said with something else, no one said this would be easy. When you're working with materials and nature and varying weather conditions, this stuff is tough to get right. If I'd encapsulated the boat before I started, this would have been a dream. Very easy. But because it is how it is, it's not easy at all now. So one of the things I did, all the little gubbly bits that got scraped off, that, and you can look that up in the dictionary, gubbly. I took a ball of it and I've put it in the outlet of that little Chinese diesel heater, and we'll see if that goes off, see if it goes hard. If it doesn't, heat makes this go stickier. Is that right? So this is really interesting. So this is the rudder, and I sanded that with 240 first, and then 400, and that's right back to like a lovely coat of copper, and I can't dig my fingernail into that at all. And this is the skeg. I mean, the skeg is looking, the skanky skeg, we're going to call it. Skanky skeg.
Oh yeah, yeah. My skeg is skanky. Skanky and manky. Oh yeah.
Even down here, right? So I scraped a bit off, then I thought, well, let's sand down and let's see what's there underneath all this. Well, what's underneath all this is a solid layer of copper. So let's get a stone, something hard. Let's see if I can make an indent in that. Barely. There it is. Can you see it? I pushed that really, really hard. So that is set. So these top layers aren't set. So I'm not sure what to think now. A bit confused. So that's keel. I'm going to give that a sand. That's kind of clogged the paper a bit. Much rambling has happened about this problem, but I'm pretty much now, I'm at a decision point. Has this worked? Partially. I think the temperature just dropped just a couple of degrees below where it was happy, and I think some moisture got onto it. This is the scenario that we have here now. It's the skanky skeg. So that is where I tried to rub it down and it just heated up and turned back to plastic. Right here I've just scraped that off with a scraper. You can see sort of some residue. So this ain't setting. This has had heat, it's had everything. Yeah, this ain't setting. It's had 7 days now as well. I'm gonna have to scrape it off or sand it off. So I'm gonna have a quick go with the 80 and see what that does. Stand by. next phase. So I've got, first of all, I'm going to try isopropyl alcohol. I don't think this will do it, but let's see. No. Okay. Nil point isopropyl. So bear in mind, this is cured pretty much, isn't it? It's not like fresh epoxy that's just not cured. It's what we call semi-cured, isn't it? Right, so what next? This vinegar was touted as a possibility. Vinegar's amazing stuff. It seems to do a lot of things, but I don't think it will do this, I'll be honest. Right, let's try it. So that's not doing much. So the one that's going to work, I'm pretty sure, potential to do damage, but would go easy. It's only the skanky skeg though, so let's try this. So this is acetone. Let's go. So it's doing something, but is it taking it off? Yeah, it is. Also melting through the gloves. You know, it's wicked stuff, man. But is it taking it off properly enough? I might have to leave this for a few days actually, because I'm pretty pissed off with it, obviously. Who wouldn't be? Don't look at that. Don't look at that. So I've just got off the phone to a very nice fella called Lee from East Coast Fiberglass, who's been helping me with my wee problem here. He's going to go off and ask a few people if they know an answer to my problem. Yeah. All right. So, and again, he said probably the best thing you can do is just walk away from it and leave it a bit. That's a good idea for many reasons, and just leave this to be what it is for now, which is a little bit of a conundrum. So today I cut my losses and leave early. Unlike me, I know, but I need a break. Hello lovely people. This is, I got this really hot here this morning by mistake. That's cured. You can scratch the surface like that, but you cannot bung your nail in it at all. So the skanky skeg has got to a point where it can be sanded back and have another coat on, and rudder as well. I'll probably just leave the rudder, it's fine. Just need sanding back to expose the copper. But what I've been doing today, I've got these two heat lamps and they're coming along. I've been moving them, having them for half an hour and moving them sort of like one ladder's width. So every half an hour I move them along, and yeah, so I would say it's working nicely. So this is like the final thing. After that, it's not going to get any more heat really. I might wrap it back up and just leave the diesel heater on for a few days. It's a goer, I would say. It seems to be working now, and it's certainly hard enough to sand. So in a couple of places like here, this is before I heated it and I sanded it back, and it does expose copper, and it's not 100% hard enough, I think. So I'm giving every section about 30 minutes, and it's going up to about, right, this is the bit that I've just taken it off. A bit hotter in places, but yeah, you know, all good. I'm treating it like it's a huge chicken and I'm roasting it. It's the final push on this exciting journey.
So I've noticed something interesting. So as we're going along, as I said earlier, these are starting to cure nicely. But where I did this, like, so that bit, like for where the pads were, so that's heating up nicely. So before I heat it up, it's kind of sticky. But the night after I'd done it, wasn't sticky. So it looked like it cured. And then it looked like it's uncured again. And what's happening, you can see that. Can you see that area there is a bit more coppery? Well, that's hard. But if I go here, I'm going to use the cloth because I don't want to get blue hands. Look, it's really sticky, and it's leaching out blue, not green is what I'd expect. Once you wipe that off, it's solid. So it's almost like it's sweating, yeah. And the salt is coming out, but it's not salt, it's blue stuff. The good news is that obviously it's new stuff, that this was, but tacky is a tacky thing there. Wipe it off, reveals a coppery sort of colour, and no tacky. So just been reading up as to why this will go blue. I mean, I've had a bit of time today to sit around whilst waiting for stuff to happen, and yeah, so blue, greeny blue, depending on what gets on the copper, it would depend what colour it turns. But it's oxidizing basically in a fairly humid environment, and so it's perfectly normal for it to turn blue, like a cyan sort of colour. So I would say that's exactly what we've got here. That's what's leaching out. I mean, it's beautiful. It's lovely colour. There you go. So yeah, this is all right. And I've watched a few videos on Coppercoat disasters and stuff like that. So basically, I think we've got a bit of a soft layer on the top there that's taken its time to cure. Some of the copper has leached out of that. There's tons of copper on this boat, so as long as we can sand it, we'll be all right. I think this is going to be fine. I'm certainly not scraping it off. Don't need to. Couldn't actually now. It's set enough. It's starting to look good. It has got a bit of a sheen to it now. It didn't have that before. It was very much the matte situation. Yeah, this looks like it's working. So I'm going to do one more half an hour stint tonight. Now I'll finish this front, so it's going to take another hour. It's 7:30. So it'll be 8:30 by the time I finish, but that's all right. Got nothing else to do, and this is really important that we get this right.